Hey everyone, my name is Maggie. In my last video, I talked about the artist Peter Paul Rubens from the Baroque era, and I encourage you to check that video out as well. Today, I want to give a brief introduction on the artist William Blake from the Romantic era, again focusing mainly on his artistic side. William Blake was an English artist, poet, and printmaker. Unlike Rubens, he was very unrecognized during his times, but thankfully, he is now well celebrated as a visionary artist and perhaps even more well known as a poet. The Romantic era started in the late 17th century and peaked mainly during the 18th century. The literature, music, arts, and architectures, as well as attitudes and intellectual orientations, were influenced by the Industrial Revolution, the Age of Enlightenment, and the wars and revolutions in Europe at that time. There was the birth of a new set of philosophical ideas that was partly a reaction to the development of the urbanized modern world. It rejects rationalism and physical materialism and challenges the rational ideal held during the Enlightenment. It promoted simply following your heart, emphasizing the emotional and irrational over reason and order, as well as appreciations for the beauty of nature and the revival of authentic medievalism. The Romantic style artworks celebrated the individual imagination, allowing the limits of reasons and the sympathy for madness. Many Romantic pieces show themes such as heightened emotional and psychological states of minds, placing new emphasis on emotions such as horror, fear, and inner struggles, and often favor the weird, irrational, monstrous, and even the satanic. Many artists also turn their interest to nature, who go outdoors to work with close observations of the landscape in order to depict their beauty. And lastly, many works were also influenced by the revolutions and arose nationalism, embracing the struggles for freedom and equality, depicting justice and the corresponding injustice. Blake is known for the intricate and unique philosophical, religious, and mysterious undertones that sustain in his works. His works showed his visionary imaginations, as well as his political radicalism. Unlike Rubens, Blake only attended school until he learned to read and write. Then he was taught by his mother and also self-taught largely from the Bible, which remained an inspiration for his works throughout his life. However, he interpreted the Bible quite differently. He saw the Orthodox Christianity as essentially devil worship that oppresses natural desires. As shown through his works, he saw himself as a prophet and created his own universe that seems to have a basis in the Bible, Greek, and Norse mythology. He praised the human imagination and turned inwards to self-consciousness, private will, and spiritual power while investigating the nature of good and evil. He was considered mad by many of his contemporaries, as he claimed to work from visions. He began experiencing these visions since the age of 8, seeing angels in a tree, which later became a norm, such as when he painted the ghost of a flea, which he claimed to have seen firsthand. For Blake, the largest enemy of individuality and creative imaginations was cold logic and scientific rationalism embodied by Isaac Newton. As shown in his famous work by Blake, he depicts Newton sitting on the ocean floor, whose attention is focused on the diagram he's drawing, completely ignoring the colors and beauty of the rocks which he sits on. Blake was also influenced by artists from the Renaissance and medieval periods, especially Michelangelo and Raphael, as well as inspirations from Gothic churches he visited during his apprenticeship with the engraver James Basset. Blake produced some of the most strange but extraordinary illuminated manuscripts in the history of printmaking. He invented relief etching, which he used to print his poems. He'd write and draw on copper plates with an acid-resistant medium, then etch the plate in acid to dissolve the unwanted parts. He really combined the images with his poems, setting the words free from their literal meanings, and revealing a complete scene in front of one's eyes all on a page. He also opened a print shop, printing mostly radical political pamphlets. Blake was so far ahead of his times that he was considered eccentric and his works were neglected during his lifetime. It was only when the art critic Alexander Gilchrist, born after Blake's death, published The Life of William Blake in 1863, people realized his genius visionary. By the 20th century, he was so well celebrated and hailed to as a great figure leading the Romantic style of arts. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this short introduction to William Blake, and I really encourage you to check him out more and perhaps go see for yourself some of his works in major museums. Like and subscribe for future videos every week, and check out previous videos on other historical artists and musicians, and leave a comment of who you want us to do next.